NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joining us now from Minneapolis. And Gabe, let's start with that court appearance. What happened at Derek Chauvin's court appearance today?
Hi, Allison. Well, it happened just behind me in this public safety building. The court hearing was very brief, and arraignment just lasted about 15 minutes. And as you mentioned, Chauvin's bail was set at $1.25 million without conditions. $1 million with conditions. Now, it was, again, very brief. He showed up via teleconference. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit. He had handcuffs. He was also wearing a blue face covering. Now, we had not heard from Chauvin's attorney up until now, and that did not change today, actually. As he was walking out of court, we asked him if he had any further comment. He declined to comment. We barely heard from Chauvin himself. He just answered direct questions from the judge and as well as from his defense attorney, responding yes, ma'am, or yes, your honor. He was asked if he had a weapon on his property if bail were to be posted, and he said yes, and he'd make arrangements for that weapon to be disposed of if and when bail would be posted. Then we don't know if his family will post bail. That remains unclear. We asked his defense attorney as he was leaving the courtroom, but so far no comment. And again, right now we do not know what his defense might be. His attorney, Eric Nelson, has repeatedly declined to comment since this all started. But again, Derek Chauvin, for the first time, going before a judge, bail set at $1.25 million. Allison.
Gabe, let's talk about the Minneapolis City Council deciding over the weekend to dissolve and dismantle the police. What specifically does that mean? What does it involve?
Well, certainly, Allison, that is a big question right now and something that's being debated hotly, not just here, but really across the country. The Minneapolis City Council yesterday, 9 of its members, a veto-proof majority, agreed and pledged to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. Now, your question is one that many people are asking. What exactly does that mean? And we're hearing from those council members, including the city council president, that they're asking for public input to decide exactly what that means. And it could be up to a year before those details are decided. But Allison, what we're hearing here and also across the country, for example, New York City's mayor saying that he is shifting resources away from the NYPD and investing in youth and social services. The mayor of L.A., Eric Garcetti, saying that he will shift up to $150 million in the police budget for other types of programs as well. Here in Minneapolis, there's a lot of talk of perhaps hiring more counselors for mental health calls instead of relying solely on police officers for 911. It still remains to be seen exactly how this will look like. The mayor, we should point out, got in some trouble over the weekend with some of the protesters. He was booed when he wouldn't commit to abolishing the police department. Instead, he said he wanted to reform the police department. And so a lot of this is semantics, but of course, as you know, Allison, this is gaining more traction around the country, this idea of defunding police. Yeah. What exactly does that mean? Does it mean dismantling police altogether? Does it mean reforming it? That's still being figured out right here in Minneapolis as well, Allison.
Gabe, I know there are still so many questions about what that might look like, what it might entail. Did the city council give any sense of a timeline here when we could start to see changes within the police department or see that police department transform?
Well, Jeremiah Ellison, the son of the Attorney General Keith Ellison, he did say that this is something they're going to be taking a look at. They're going to be asking for input from the public, but it could be up to a year before we see some of these changes actually implemented at the Minneapolis City Council. But still, this is an idea that, started to get traction late last week. It's not new, however. Many activists have been talking about this for quite some time, and it took the death of George Floyd for it to really gain traction here in Minneapolis. And now you hear really across the country, really examining the larger conversation about the role of policing. But again, few details right now as the Minneapolis City Council works through this. This all came, of course, as we reported, with his first court hearing for Officer Derek Chauvin, bail set at $1.25 million. His next hearing is set for June 29th, so later this month. And we should point out also that we spoke with the attorney for one of the other officers involved in this case. Those 3 other officers, you'll remember, Allison, are charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter. One of them, Thomas Lane, just 4 days on the job. We spoke with his attorney, who said he maintains that George Floyd resisted arrest, and that is why his client took the actions he did. I asked him, how could it be possible for his client to just stand by and watch while this was all going on? And he claims that he didn't just stand by and watch, that it was just his 4th day on the job, and that he was essentially taking the lead from Derek Chauvin, who was a 19-year veteran of the force. And he says his client is not guilty of the charges against him. That is a preview of the defense we could see from those 3 other officers. But again, with regards to Derek Chauvin, again, his attorney today gave no comment else.
Yeah, and Gabe, I know you did have an exclusive interview with Lane's lawyer, and we will be showing that later in the show. So thank you for your reporting here, and thank you for that as well.
You bet.
New York City reopening today, about 400,000 people heading back to work. It has been 100 days since the city's first coronavirus case. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo congratulating New Yorkers on the progress.
We didn't just stop the increase. We bent the curve, and we brought the spread down dramatically. And you look at where we are today, 100 days later, we are continuing our decline. The rest of the country is still spiking. How remarkable is that? How remarkable is that? So congratulations to New Yorkers.
NBC News correspondent Rehima Ellis joins me now from Times Square. And Rehima, I have to ask the big question. What does New York City look like today? Are people actually back out and about?
There are some people out. I think that it's a slow rollout for many people. You get an image of it. I want Ronnie, my cameraman, to turn the camera. There are a few people here who might be in the way. But take a look at this, Allison. We're in Times Square. This is 7th Avenue and 42nd Street, the crossroads of the world, and you could cross the street without any problem today. The roads are clear. Granted, this is an entertainment, this is a theater area, but it is also a business area. It's a commercial area for lots and lots of offices. Even 30 Rock, where we are headquarters, is not so far from here. So I think that picture tells you a lot about what it looks like here. Was there some traffic this morning? Yes, there was in other places on the roads. Some traffic reporters actually had some real traffic to talk about. But we're talking about New York City, 5 boroughs, and this particular area is not as populated as some people may have thought it would be, but folks are coming out ever so slowly.
Rehima, that image says so much. I walk right past where you are on my way to 30 Rock almost every day. And like most New Yorkers, I'm usually frustrated by all the folks you got to weave in and out of to get where you need to go. Looking very, very different today. I know that is, of course, because a lot of people still aren't back at work. A lot of things aren't open yet. What is included in this first phase, and what kinds of things are open again today?
Part of the first phase includes 32,000 construction jobs, as well as manufacturing and retail for curbside pickup. But look at what some retailers are having to contend with. Just, Ronnie, if you can go over here in Times Square, where some businesses have been boarded up because when there was a shutdown for coronavirus, they knew they weren't going to be around for a while. They put plywood, and then some other businesses boarded up because of the demonstrations. Now that plywood has got to come down if they're going to open up for any kind of curbside pickups. But it's a slow process, and retailers are anxious to open. They're anxious to get going. We talked to one woman who said she lost 80% of her business while things were shut down, and she just opens that while she is going to be doing curbside pickups that people will come back once she opens up again today. Down markers on the platforms in the station, encouraging people to social distance. It's kind of hard to do on a New York City subway, but they're encouraging people to do it nonetheless. Take a listen to what one subway rider told us about how they feel getting back on the subway.
It was less people. It's very spread out. It wasn't crowded like it usually is on a normal New York day, which is pretty good. I'm happy about it because everyone's always cramped up on the subway. And I know now they're trying to watch out for COVID and, who's close, how, social distancing and stuff like that.
Sometimes I feel like I got to carry a can of Lysol or something. I know that's a little bit too much, but, I just worry about that. That's
So this is the first day, Allison, of the reopening. Maybe a little bit slow going, but people are encouraged that it will pick up as the reopening continues. Allison?
A question for you before you go about the protests. I know there are more scheduled in New York City today. There are concerns, of course, that those crowds could lead to more coronavirus cases. What is the city and how is the city trying to reduce that risk?
Well, what the city has done all the while, they keep telling people to wear masks, and a large portion of people are wearing masks, but they're also telling people social distance. Again, that's very hard to do. But the city has opened up another 225 free testing centers around the city. 15 of those are located in places where the demonstrations were the largest, and they're encouraging people to go and get tested. So if they were exposed and have become infected, they could then quarantine themselves and hopefully reduce the potential for any kind of spread of the virus that could result as a result of the close contacts that everyone had during these protest demonstrations, Alice.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.